All right, I think I'm live. My internet was just saying it was low. But anyways, this is your creation. My name is Starseed Bey. Um, yeah, today should be interesting. I didn't really plan for this video. I was just planning to oh, just make some kind of video. So I was like, you know what? How about if we talk about limitations of the mind, body, and soul? Because a lot of people um really, man, my internet is not working here on my Facebook. Doesn't want me to be on there. All right. So, anyways, so limitations of the mind, body, and soul. So many people have a set mind of a certain way in how they believe in things, a certain way in how they put their faith in whatever belief structure it may be, or people that they may follow or listen to. Many different things that will really I'm getting distracted by my Facebook thing. It keeps showing me on and off here, so I'm just gonna let it just play a little bit. I might have to cancel it, but anyways. So let me quit rambling on here and let me share my stuff out. So if you're interested in me, you can check me out on YouTube. I got a lot of interesting things on there. Many different topics, conversation, whatever it may be. So definitely like, subscribe, and share out. I'm also on Facebook as well, so you can check out my public site. Definitely like and share, and go from there. If you have any questions or concerns, those are definitely places that you can get a hold of me. Like I said earlier, man, I'm gonna have to just cancel this here. I'll have to try it again later. So so why do so many people limit themselves? What sparks that limitation within that mindset? Um, so many people, so many people. All right, I'm just gonna have to forget Facebook. So many people create that limitation. The most common thing that I hear from people is that we can't go behind human perception, right? We're only human. How many people have said, "Well, we're only human." That's the mindset of things. We're only human, or science said this, or science said that. Um, Also, on how, our mind itself, a lot of people feel that that's what generates our emotions, or that's what generates what we are, right? And then spirituality, a lot of people feel, that the only way that you can fully grasp any kind of spiritual experience is to have the experience. But a lack of experience creates that limitation in your mind of, oh, it's not real. I don't believe in it. Nothing supernatural ever happened to me, right? Having that thought pattern of one dimension, right? One dimension of, well, that is how it is. Life is how it is. It's never going to change perception. Never going to change perception. I have so many conversations with people about that. So many things, man. And, you know, um, I've never limited myself. In my life, I've never limited myself. I've always thought of going beyond, right? Going beyond, always questioning things, wondering what's out there. Always been fascinated with aliens and ETs, as well as angels and the Most High and Christ and demons and Satan and all that realm of spirituality. I've had such a strong passion and interest in it, that I've always searched and seeked for. more answers to the experiences I've had. Again, I've talked about my dreams and how, they always involve a spiritual presence, whether it be shadow creatures or beasts or um, angels or whatever it may be. It was always involved in my life spiritually, a spiritual experience. So therefore, I've had that experience and I can talk about it. But it's hard to talk to people who have not had that experience or who ignore those experiences. That's the key thing, is that people will ignore experiences that they have had. Um, that's where when I talk with people, I'm like, I almost guarantee you've had some kind of spiritual encounter, or some kind of being or presence has been around you. Can you remember that time? And then people will say, well, there was this one time when I was going to a party, and I heard this voice say, you shouldn't go to this party. You shouldn't go to this party. And you go ahead and go to that party anyways. Well, what ends up happening is you get drunk, a fight broke out, someone stole your car, or you ended up butt naked somewhere and you don't know where you are, right? So, at the end of the day, that person sits down and was like, man, I should have listened to that voice. Well, that was your spiritual encounter. You had a source that was separate from you, right? You had a alternative thought process that came from out of nowhere. That came from out of nowhere. You know, um, what is that? Distinguish what that voice was. Um, what was the origin of that voice? And that's why I love to give those kind of analogies, is because so many people think that it's the mind playing tricks on them. Oh, I hear voices. I hear voices. Oh yeah, I want to give a shout out too. How's it going, Jay? How's it going, Aaron? Um, but I hear voices, right? I hear voices. So many voices. A lot of times, people go crazy over all those voices. But most of the time, you'll hear maybe one or two voices. The most common voices in your head are going to be, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this. Or, you need to do this right now. Do it, man. Do it. You're not going to regret it. Go do it. And then you go do it, and then you end up regretting it. So, it's distinguishing those kind of voices. And just realize that, there's something going on within you. There's something going on within you. But if you limit yourself and you don't ask those questions, or seek those questions, you're going to limit yourself. You're going to limit yourself. Church, again, is a good representation of limitation. Because I mean, when you discover Christ, or you ask Christ into your life, you get anointed within the Spirit. You feel that sense of joy. You feel that sense of clarity, that sense of peace, or that sense of love and forgiveness. It's an amazing encounter. It's a supernatural encounter that not many people realize what it is. They're just like, wow, I feel the power of the Holy Spirit, right? Amazing experience. But then when you go to church, you try to learn what those experiences are. They end up teaching a doctrine, a limited doctrine to you, based upon the pastor's personal experiences or beliefs, or that that is their church, right? That is the pastor's church. So they're going to bring their certain curriculum and doctrine into that field. So anything that is termed alienated isn't welcome in that environment, because it's not part of their doctrine or their belief system. So therefore, you're not going to learn and grow within Spirit and learn and grow within Christ. And it's a hard one to really kind of, pinpoint what that means or what that represents, right? Because if you're having a spiritual encounter, how are you going to know that is a spiritual encounter, not just uh, a one-time deal of, hey, I got saved, yay for me, and then you just sit down and listen to these sermons, study the Bible, and life is good, and you continue on. That's limited. I mean, granted, you can do what you want to do, but with me personally, you should always want to step up a notch, step up a notch. Test yourself, and it's going to be based on you, because I mean, I love testing myself. Um, I never have ever stuck with one thing, going, okay, this is how it is, that's it, life goes on, and then move on. I don't. I always redefine things and learn new things, um, and test the body. Test the body, test the mind, test the soul. What is the soul? The soul is you. This representation um, is a part of that soul. And the reason why I say part of that soul is because we also have personas um, that join with your soul. So you become two. That's where the mind, body, and soul intertwine together. Therefore, it's the Trinity. The Trinity is such a fascinating thing to me, because when you look into the Trinity, there's so many aspects in it, within this reality. I mean, what is this reality called? It's called the third dimension. And we have these trinities that are representation of three. You got the pyramids. Pyramids are huge here too. There's a representation of the pyramids here. It's just it's that thought pattern, I guess, within this materialistic reality, because that's the world we live in, is in a materialistic reality of the I wants and I needs perception of things. And the whole goal is to not limit yourself and just go, oh, hey, look at all this physical stuff, or this consuming reality. Man, this is so much fun. Let's just stay in this. This is heaven, right? But it limits you because you're not extending upon it. So therefore, you reincarnate again and go, all right, you failed the test, man. You were not supposed to be so joyous in all these consuming uh, things, because when you die, none of this stuff will go with you. So let's try it again. Let's see if you can discover spirit out of all of this materialistic consuming reality. And ego is a big part of it as well. I mean, the Bible talks about sin. And like I said, sin is a representation of modern times of ego, our personas. And our personas can overtake us just like that. And that's part of the belief system of, sometimes you don't know what you believe, so you just, you jump on board, you listen to people, you listen to their experiences, you try to have your own personal experiences. Once you gain some kind of experience, whether it be, you have an ET contact, or you feel the anointing of the Spirit, or you see ghosts or shadows, things like that, it heightens your perception. You're like, whoa, all right. My belief has now become a part of my real reality. Has become part of my real reality. I really saw this stuff, right? I really saw this stuff outside myself. So therefore, it's not a belief anymore. It is real. It is real to you. Is everybody going to see what's real to you as well? No, they won't. They won't. They'll just think you're crazy. Man, you're crazy, man. What kind of drugs you taking, man? Right? So, you really have to realize, that it is your personal journey and your personal experience. But you don't want to limit yourself in growth, in life, um, in many different kind of experiences. I've also talked with people that feel that drink some orange juice there. That feel that they can't present themselves in a certain way. And I felt that way too. That there was just some things that shouldn't be made known because it's not going to make sense. A lot of the stuff I bring to the table really has a deeper level to it, and you're either going to get it or you're not going to get it. It's a matter of discipline, maturity, and doing the work. Praying and meditation is key to having those spiritual encounters and experiences. And also getting the answers of why you're having those spiritual encounters or experiences. Because some people are just wide awake. They have their magi eye fully turned on. They're seeing spirits and ghosts and hearing the voices. It can be a chaotic mess. And if you're not prepared for it and you don't have answers, you can go crazy from it. And that's kind of how the Western society is that, or the United States, they can't, they don't know how to medically clear those kind of people. But a lot of times too, possession comes in too, where you end up actually getting possessed and you can't think clearly because, you've been possessed. It could be parasites, it could be, these beings that live beyond the veil. Maybe you did magic, uh, or whatever it may be. Something got into your body and has taken over your body. Our body is used as a host for something. We have a whole universe within us that is a host for many different things. We have um, antibodies, we have different kind of parasites and bacteria, both good and bad within our body. So we have a whole universe within us that we have to maintain um, in a healthy way. Maintain in a healthy way. And without that level of maturity, you're never gonna learn these elements or these aspects. And it's, man, it's an interesting ride. It really is. Um, yeah. I don't really know where else to go with this, but let's go ahead and we'll kind of look at like belief structures, right? Belief structures. Um, a lot of people who question things, or who have went through church, right? Who went through church go on beliefs. I mean, it's not faith, a jump on faith. Usually an expression of faith is that, hey, I want to take a leap of faith. I'm going to go and try this new job. Or, hey, I want to take a leap of faith and I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to pack everything up and start fresh. I'm going to take this leap of faith and I'm going to ask this person out, right? That is an ideal version of faith, and I never mentioned spirituality in that, but that's kind of the perception of faith is that you take that extra leap, into the unknown. You're exceeding beyond fear, exceeding beyond fear. And there's many different ways of defining the word fear. The one I love using is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real, meaning that, um, don't take things for granted for what they are because they could be false. They could be false, but it's based on your personal discovery and journey and taking that extra faith of like, hey, you know, I'm fearing the unknown. I don't know if it's going to be false. If the evidence is not going to be what I assumed it was going to be, the appearance of that faith or belief may not have been what you intended it to be. It could be a miraculous thing too. And then real, defining that word real. What is real to you and what is not real to you. and it gets deep, and that's part of, are you willing to take that faith? Are you willing to better your life? Are you willing to give up smoking? Are you willing to stop eating meats so then you can have a healthier body? And granted, ain't no doctor, and I've talked about this before, it can be about your blood type too. But granted, you can take a leap of faith. Hey, let me stop eating meat for a while and see what it does with my body, see what my body does, how it reacts. Just taking that extra faith, that extra boost in life, to see what path is awaiting you. We all have a path, we all have a destiny, and I really feel, that is very true. That we do have a destiny, a point of reaching your highest potential, and that's something that you really have to fully embrace and surrender to, is that capacity and that mindset that you can become the best version of you. You really can become the best version of you. But it takes willpower and dedication. And a lot of trials and errors too. You're never going to learn and grow if you don't test yourself and go through trials and tribulations within your life. That's the staging ground of, you're going to need to fight your way and claw your way through to get to that highest point of view, that highest perception of you. And there's so many ways you can do that. So many ways you can do that. And if you're a deep thinker like me, you try to experience everything at the same time. And it really doesn't work that way. But it just depends on where you're at. It does. It really does. A lot of people will never get out of that. They will only have a belief structure, and they're only going to have a following perception. They're just going to have a monkey see, monkey do mindset, and they're never going to move past that. And that's where they're at. That's their learning curve. And we can't judge them for their limited perception. That's where they're at. So they're going to just reincarnate again until they build up their spiritual energy, and then it just flows higher and higher and higher, and you gain more and more awareness, and it gets real deep. I've been studying on exactly what a soul is, or what the spirit is. Like, when we pass, we move on to this body. Hey, how's it going, sea goat? When you move on to this body, do we need to have a massive amount of energy? Do we need to have a massive amount of energy to go through the next level? I've been kind of talking about the many layers of heaven, and our ancestors. There's stuff you can research about the heavens, and how there is a firmament, right? And then there's heavens after the firmament, each layer of heaven. And it's the goal. It's reaching that golden point of reaching that 13th heaven, which could be the 0 point. It's the highest potential of you. That 13 is the highest potential of you, and it can go beyond that as well. But I mean, if you can reach the goal of 13, that's great. I actually I had I was talking with the spirits, and I was just kind of viewing, like, what level am I? This has been what's been on my mind for the past couple days, is like, what level am I on? What energy level am I on? Um, how am I measured or linked between all of these heavens, right? And what they showed me is that they said, that you're like at the pinnacle point. You're like in the seventh layer of heaven, right? You're at the seventh layer of heaven. And I questioned. I was like, so if I'm at the seventh layer, what do I need to do to get to the eighth layer? Well, they showed me, they're like, hey, this is what you need to do to get to the 8th layer. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. And then I went through to the 8th layer, and then I went to the 9th layer. And then I had to call it a day, but I pierced through that 9th level. And it really made me think. I was like, how does that work? How does that work, from an energy standpoint? How can we build enough energy or awareness to break through these layers in heaven? It takes a massive amount of energy. And where does this energy come from? How is this energy, how do we not allow our energy to be taken away from us, right? Because, we live in a vampire type world where we feed off each other, right? Like I said, at the beginning of this video, is that, we live in a materialistic realm of consuming, right? That's what, the retail is consuming, whether it be internet or little stores or big stores, whatever it is a consuming market. It is consuming your energy, and people are consuming your energy, whether you're aware of it or not. And some people feed off of it and they get strong and powerful. Some people are weak and their energy constantly gets drained out, right? Constantly gets drained out. You got holes within your barrier, and that's why I say it's so important to create some kind of barrier within your life so you're not succumbing to these consuming markets. And something weird is going on with my computer at the moment, so if my internet cuts out, just let me know. But it's so very fascinating on how this world works, on how it's so vampire-like in its essence. I had a conversation, and if you view like Earth from like Genesis perception of like on how everything began again, everything was anew again, right? Um, that was like the perfect environment. They were not hungry. Um, they were unaware of their nakedness, which nakedness is not. It's on a deeper level, right? It's not because of the body being naked. It's because you realize that you have um, become self-aware. You become self-aware, right? Because you were fully connected in a hive mind. You were connected with the Creator, the Most High, in the perfect state, right? You didn't have to eat. There was no pollution or things of that nature, right? But then when you do realize, that you are naked, you become self-aware of, oh, man, what's going on, right? And then you have that individual mindset or that alone state of, oh, the Most High is separate from me now, right? Because I mean, what was Genesis about? They kicked Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, right? So it created that separation between the Most High and the human perception of things, and it gets deep. It gets deep on so many levels, and I'm trying not to lose my train of thought of where I'm going with this, but yeah, it's that separation, and so many people now have that separated perception that they have to reach or obtain that goal, and that's what the ancestors and my guides were showing me, is that we have to go through all of these layers um, to get to that 13/7, to get back into that Eden state, right? To that collective state of not feeling a disconnect, and that's kind of how it feels, is that, we have that perception that the Most High is separate from us when actually the Most High has always been within. The Most High has always been within. And that's what Christ taught us, that's what Christ taught us, is that I am the way, right? I'm the way, truth, and life, going within to discover how to pierce through these these many different stages of heaven. But it has to do with energy, though. It has to do with energy, and that's the key thing. And humanity at this time doesn't know how to harness the energy. Even myself, like I said, I've been questioning that, learning how to build my energy. I've been trying to make it to the gym, haven't made it. I'm actually been trying to figure out alternative ways to um, stay hydrated when I'm lifting weights, because I get bottled water, but it makes me sick when I drink so much of it because of there's still like chemicals in it. I love to drink the alkaline water, but it's expensive. It's expensive, so I was trying to find that balance in there. But I'm like, do I need to lift weights to gain more, uh, more of a magnetic field within me? Do I need to do that? But at the end of the day, that's not really the answer. That's not really the answer. We have to look into the magnetic field. We have to learn on how the waves work. It talks about the Prince of Air, right? The Prince of Air. What does that mean? What does that represent? The Prince of Air doesn't mean that it's the air itself. It means that there is waves and frequencies within the air that dampen our field, right? You look into the Satan concept. What is Satan? He's an adversary. So there's an adversary or a prince, a force that is dampening us, that's keeping us in a lower state, right? So then we can't reach that next level, And that's where we have to really learn on how to create that kind of energy or barrier to surround us. And that's where energy work comes in. You have to study this stuff. You have to learn on how energy works, and you can learn it by yourself. But it takes practice, and you gotta know what you're looking at. And that's where you start with your hands, and then you begin to just feel it out. Just fill it out and allow that energy. Man, my computer's acting weird. Where you feel the energy just begin to flow out, but you have to learn how to do that. So practicing magic is definitely ideal, but not the magic from like books and stuff, but like literally praying and meditating, learning how that magic works within you. Your guides will show you, or you listen. You have ears to hear and eyes to see. You're going to self-teach yourself. Again, you can read books and all that stuff, which is great. Sometimes it works for you people, sometimes it doesn't. But it's moving beyond that limitation. That this is how it is. Can you see the shield that surrounds me? No, but there's people that can see that shield. There's people that can see auras. There's people that can see um, uh, perceived demon creatures attached to people, right? Those shadow people. So it just depends on your level of perception. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Chase says cha, and that reminds me of and that's what energy is. You look into chi, you look into kai, right? Um, Chinese and Japanese. I mean, I love Japan, man. I've learned so much from Japan, and the majority of the stuff I learned from Japan was from anime. I love anime. It's so very it's just on that deeper level. It just really makes you think. Very philosophical. Has to do a lot with spiritual practices and beliefs, and um, listening to your elders and listening to the ancestors and things like that. Anime is very deep if you know which ones to look for. I mean, there's definitely some anime that is you don't want to watch, but there's some real deep stuff, and it really teaches you about energy and synergy and how the spirits work. It's amazing. I mean, Dragon Ball Z is where I learned about energy. And I was practicing it before I even began a full spiritual journey, right? because 2010 was my time. You know, I was aware of stuff before that, but I actually did the work in 2010 to now. So, but I was always very fascinated about energy and harnessing it. You know, learning on how Goku and Vegeta, how they kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger, is they would pull the energy, right? They would pull the energy um, that was surrounding them, and it was actually in them as well. But they did a lot of training, a lot of training as well, and and that's where I'm thinking, that you really do have to do some kind of training for the body to really harness more energy. But I could be wrong. I mean, maybe there's different ways of doing it. I know if you drink real alkaline water and you eat your fruits and veggies that are homegrown, right? Um, you're going to get a lot of what you need. Your magnetic field's going to boost up. You're going to get the right amount of vitamins and minerals, and cashews are great. Man, I love my cashews. There's just those kind of factors is what builds your energy, is what builds your vibrations, right? Your vibrational frequency. I don't like talking about vibrational frequency because it throws you off. What is vibrational frequency? People are like, hey, I got high vibes today, man. Life is good. I got some good high vibes, right? But if you switch that around, again, it's the mindset. It's the mindset. Switch it around to, hey, I feel high energies today. I feel energy today. It gets you into that mindset of energy. What is energy? What is synergy? It is that ether that surrounds us all, that we consume um, throughout our day. So therefore, it creates a real perception compared to uh, the high vibes of, hey, I got some high vibes today. And people just say this stuff, but they don't fully grasp energy. But like, how do you feel energy wise? Do you feel cloudy? Do you feel low in energy? Do you feel high in energy? Hey, how's it going, Fractal Truth? It's so many different layers, but it's becoming that self-aware again. That's self-aware again. And it's so interesting that I did that analogy about the Garden of Eden, because again, they were in their perfect state. Adam and Eve were. They're in their perfect state in that Garden of Eden, and the Most Highs were walking with Adam and Eve, right? So they had that close bond and feel, and a collective state of being, right? They didn't have to eat or nothing. But once they fell out of the Garden of Eden, right? They tested the knowledge, and they tested wisdom. They were curious about it. They fell away from the Most High, so that disconnection um, came into play. That self-awareness came into play, and that's what in turn you're going through. And it's you want to actually reach that state of self-awareness. You don't want to be in a perfect realm because you don't learn. If everything is perfection, you don't learn. It's the best kind of learning is to fall, and once you fall, you're like, oh man, I feel so disconnected, and I feel like the Most High is so far away. What is it going to take for me to reconnect back to the Most High? Again, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. A divine a divine perception of things, right? The divine. What is the divine? It is um, that in between space. Like the void, um, or the sacred place, right? The sacred place is that in between spot between the physical reality and the spiritual reality, and you got to get back into that place and realize, that there is no separation between the two. It's that we've created that separation. We've created that separation. Um, and it's uncanny, and that's why a lot of people have a hard time reconnecting back to spirit, um, because they feel so lost and alone. And I've been around people, uh, who preach about Christ and stuff like that, and they try to win people over and accepting Christ into their life. And that's a leap of faith, right? You kind of have to sell it to them. You have to sell it to them. Hey, how's it going, John? You have to sell the good news. You have to sell the good news of Christ. You have to sell the good news of the Most High, or God, or whatever it may be. You have to sell it to people, right? You have to sell it to people. Just like myself, me talking about the limitations of the mind, body, and soul, and then giving you guys new ways of looking at your life, or going, I didn't really think about that. I'm selling this to you. I'm selling it to you to see if you're going to surrender to it, or if you're going to buy into it, or if you're going to research into it, right? That's my goal when I make these videos, is I'm giving you guys these kind of alternative ideas into growing into the best version of you. Is that you never stop learning, you never stop growing. Jacob's ladder is a good example, right? Just constantly just going up the ladder. And again, you can utilize the body as well, which your feet are the roots, and you just work your way through your body, to the different layers of heaven, which is what? There's 7 chakras, so then there would be 7 heavens within just that mindset. But then it goes up to the 13, and then it goes to the 21 point as well. Oh man, there's another concept I haven't talked about in a while. I'm trying to remember what it was, but it had to do with the 21 perception of things. But as a whole, you look into all these numbers, and even the time, right? 1111, 111, 333. These different kind of environments are showing you that you're on the right path, right? That you need to pay attention, or you are paying attention, right? A lot of people don't see these signs, or if they do, they ignore them. They're like, man, what is wrong with my numbers? How come I keep seeing these 111s? Or, why is my alarm clock blinking and it says 1111, right? All of these things, that the spirit will let you know, hey, you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention to your environment, to your surroundings, and discover what your destiny is. And there's so many roadblocks that go in your life, and there's so many open paths that you can take. But there's really one true path, one true path. And I've talked about this quite a while ago, and I've been talking about it here and there, is about the 3 earths. There's 3 earths. And there's a positive earth, there's a well-balanced earth, and then there's a negative earth. And we're seeing all 3 earths part way. We're seeing them all part way. That positive earth is that false light of reality where, oh, hey, life is good, everything's all hunky-dory, and life is, I'm sure, real good on that positive world. And then you got the negative world, which is all of the negative thought processes of the Armageddon really happened, and there was a great apocalypse, which is what the great unveiling. So there's a great unveiling plus Armageddon, and destruction and chaos and all that stuff happens on that negative world. Well, the balanced one, the balanced earth, is the one that you need to be on, is the one you want to be on. That is the self-awareness that you're both, that you are both positive and negative, and that you don't need to distinguish between two. You don't need to distinguish or separate the both, because they work together hand in hand. Being positive just means that you understand what it's like to have a good time, or what it's like to have a good life, right? That's positive. Negative aspect, it just means that, you realize, that you have that free will of choice. You have that free will of choice, that you can make good choices or bad choices, and that's a definitely a different way of looking into the negative aspect, is that you have that free will of choice in that negative reality. And it can go either way. You can decide either way, and you're going to bounce between positive and negative, and that's fine. And that if you're bouncing back and forth, what does that mean? You're bouncing back and forth. Something has to keep that balance. And what is that? Is that third earth, or that middle earth, that balanced earth. That's what's keeping it. And you can think of it as like DNA, or the spiral of DNA. You're spiraling, and you want to keep spiraling up, but you can't do that if you don't have a positive and negative aspect. I mean, look at a battery. Batteries don't work if it's all positive, right? You just have it plugged in on the positive part. The battery ain't gonna function. You just plug it into the negative part, the battery ain't gonna function. But you plug in the positive and negative in, and the charge clicks, spark of life, boom. Now you got a well-balanced battery. You got a well-balanced battery. And why is that? Because it works the positive and negative balance out. So you're not pushing out what you are. And that's where your ego and your emotions cloud your judgment. And what you think positive and negative isn't that at all. It's a form of energy and synergy. And you want to keep in that balanced state, that balanced earth. And only few will make it to that balanced state, because there's so many other people that still are learning about life, or learning about not fighting with themselves or among other humans. And that's the kind of world we live in, is that, people can't even live amongst themselves. Because, well, I believe in this. Well, I believe in this. Well, I have faith in this, or, well, I have faith in that, right? Right? It's just constantly bickering over who has the right say, or who has a positive mindset or a negative mindset. Oh man, you think too negative. I can't be friends with you. And then they unfriend them, and then they never talk to them, and the person's crying their eyeballs out, going, "What happened, man? I thought we were on good terms. You just pushed me away because I was going through something in my life and I needed some help, and you just spit in my face and was like, nope, I don't want to deal with this negative stuff, man. Nope, I don't want them low vibes from you, man. Nope, I don't want you in my life." Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That is an unbalanced state. Anybody who pushes in a negative, or just a person that's going through some hard times in your life, when you push those kind of people away, you're pushing yourself away, because you're not learning on what you can do for that. Now, granted, if they continue to not learn, grow, and develop and mature in their life, well, then sometimes you just have to just not talk to them at all. It doesn't mean you have to defriend them, but just don't talk to them. Now, if they're harassing you and everything, that's a different story. That's where you just have to draw a line and say, hey, man, I know you're going through a hard time and everything. I've tried to give you the best advice I can, but it's just not working for you. So I'm going to have to let you go, and you're going to have to learn on what I was telling you, is that you need to learn how to balance your life better. Well, I can't balance out my life. It's just too crazy, man. My car broke down. I don't have a job anymore, and I'm getting a divorce, or things like that, right? So how am I supposed to be calm if all this stuff is happening to me? Well, did you pray and meditate about it? No, I don't have time to pray and meditate about it. Well, there you go. Pray and meditate about it. I guarantee you your life will change just from that alone, because you need to change your level of awareness and perception of things. People live in one or the other. They're either too negative or they're too positive. And it's uncanny. It really is. I've always had that balanced state. I've always had that balanced state of positive and negative. I reach the awareness that I have to find things that make me happy and that motivate me, right? That's a positive aspect. And I also have to embrace that negative aspect of, hey, I also have this free will and intent of, hey, if I want to go and do something, I'm going to go and check it out. And even if it's a perceived negative aspect, um, I'm going to go learn and grow and develop into my choices, into my choices. So it's it's that level of maturity, and a lot of people that I'm surrounded with are on that balanced earth, right? A lot of times, they kind of favor the positive earth, or they kind of favor the negative earth more than the balance. But they always kind of fall back into that balanced state, and very few do that. Very few do that. And that's where you kind of choose on who you want in your life, right? But sometimes you have those people that come into your life that need you, that need that seed planted, and you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready for it, because it can be tough. I have a couple people that I'm friends with that that definitely have a negative aspect of things. They're always like, "Oh, this stuff is happening to me. I don't know what to do." Um, I try to pray and meditate, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. You just have to give them that word of encouragement. That's why I utilize the scriptures, because it's universal. The Bible is universal in its own way. It has negative perceptions in it. It has positive perceptions in it. It makes you think, it makes you learn, it makes you grow spiritually and physically, and all that stuff. I mean, you don't need to worship the Bible. You don't need to be religious to read the Bible. It is a beautiful book, um, that is so diverse, and if you read anything from the Bible, just read the life and death of Christ. And man, that just sums up life in itself. The daily things that we go through, um, within ourselves. And I was on a True Seekers School of the Mystics, and that's kind of what sparked this video, was that limitation. And I'm trying not to lose my train of thought here. I almost lost it, but um, uh, oh no, I did lose my train of thought. Dang it. Okay, that's okay. But once you help that person, I'm trying to remember where I was going with this. Oh, well, that's okay. Um, but let's see what John says here, and maybe I'll be able to remember where I was going with this. You can't always be positive as well as you can't always be negative. It's that balance in between, like you. Say that's beautiful, bro. Thank you. But it also involves, that sacred place, that sacred place, um, that you want to get into. That's what I talked about the Trinity. You're learning about the Trinity. It can represent, and how I represent it, right, as well as the father, the mother, father, and child, right? The father or mother, father, and child. The mother gives birth to creation. The mother gives birth to life, and she will teach you the beauty of life. A true queen, a true woman, will show their child and the man in their life, um, the beauty of creation. The beauty of creation. Why do you think Earth is known as a mother? Because it shows you the true beauty of creation. The father a father figure or role, depending on how you want to view it, is designed to show you how to work in life, how to work in reality, how to work to accomplish your goals, how to work to accomplish your dreams, how to work through hardships in your life, things like that. That's kind of the father figure or role in that Trinity. The child aspect is that is that it is learning and growing from both the mother and father, and it creates a new aspect because you're blending the teachings of the mother and father into your own being or your own essence. So therefore, the mother would be positive and the father would be negative, because what negative was? Free will, allowing you to choose what path you want to go on. And therefore, you're a learning child that is within the creation of the Most High. Beautiful stuff, man. Beautiful stuff. And you just have to just sit down and just put the pieces of the puzzle together of what all this stuff represents. If you question why someone is so positive or negative, read between the lines of why that is. If we didn't have people who were negative or positive, we wouldn't learn and grow and develop spiritually and physically. We wouldn't. It would not work. That's why I always tell people that this is a world of learning. This is a playground of learning, and a maturity for the soul and the soul matrix. Because the soul matrix is just a constant learning and growing mainframe for creation. And that it gets on a real deep level, man. It really does. But you can view the Most High, or the creator of all things, wants to see creation. It wants to see creation continue with new ideas, perceptions, viewpoints. This comes into the timeline things of, every thought that you have creates an alternative Earth, So then you can go on to that Earth timeline, and there can be different stuff. There can be different stuff that's going on. Some people may act a little different, things like that. But it's part of creation. Everything is a creation, and the goal is to create a beautiful creation, not a negative one, not a positive one, but just a well-balanced creation. I mean, do you really honestly, and you have to ask yourself this, do you really honestly want to have a perfected reality? A perfected reality. How would you learn? How would you grow? How would you develop? The soul, the soul. And it gets real deep. It really does. I mean, like me personally, I love this state of existence, where being able to choose how you want to live your life, and there's that number one thing that frustrates me is how this reality is controlled in a consuming environment. That's the frustrating thing. We need to just be working, taking care of the earth, planting trees, no stores, just living off the land, and life is good. That's what this world needs, and you can learn a lot from that alone. But we have a virus within this program that has taken away the job of being a human down here, is to just take care of the earth, learn to live among the animals, don't eat the animals, but again, do what you need to do. But it's just learning on how to balance creation out and create a beautiful structure in life. And you have to look at it like that. You have to look at it like that, because I mean, like I said again, I don't want to live in a perfect world. It would be boring. It would be boring, and I can honestly say, at times I do get bored. Just because I'm a deep thinker. I want to see humanity create the best version of them. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean you're in a heaven state where life is like, you're not learning or growing. It just means, that balanced state of existence where, when things happen, you know how to handle it. You know how to handle it. You know, what does it say? There's a scripture that says only a few will be chosen or a few will be awakened. Only a few. Like I said, like 10% of the world are spiritually alive. Only 10% of the world are spiritually alive, while the other um, 90% are spiritually dead or zombies, or the dead waiting to rise, right? The dead waiting to rise. Rise. So yeah, I'm just starting to babble on here, but yeah. So at the end of the day, um, don't limit yourself. Don't limit the mindset. Don't limit your body. Don't limit your soul. Don't limit your soul. You need to learn on how to balance out that positive and negative aspect. If your car breaks down, how are you going to react to it? How are you going to react to it? Are you going to be mad and kicking the tires and kicking the door? How is that going to fix your car? It's not going to fix your car. I mean, I guess if you let your aggressions out and you feel better, then maybe that's what you need to do. But you can choose another option of, hey, my car broke down. This sucks. But let's find out what the problem is with the car and then begin to fix it, or go and buy a new car. Go buy a new car, start a new life and a new perception and things like that. There's so many ways on how you can go about your life. Man, so many ways, and I could just keep going on and on. So at the end of the day, go ahead and close this video out. At the end of the day, it's all about just finding that balance. Never limit yourself. If you believe in something, go beyond it. Make it real in your reality. Don't just go by blind faith or blind belief. Make it real. Make it real. If it's not becoming real to you, maybe that's not the path you're on. So discover the path that you're supposed to be on, and then it will be real to you. The spirits will guide you where you need to go. If something does not become truth to you or a fact to you, it may not be the path you're supposed to be on. So you're going to have to find that path and find that hidden talent within you, that's going to help you redefine who you are. Why you're here. Your purpose of being here is, and just go from there. Just go from there. There's a lot of beautiful people out there. A lot of beautiful people, and they're continually to evolve too. There's friends that I have on Facebook that I've been friends with for a long time, and have made a beautiful progress in life, from being a super negative person to being more and more balanced and positive and uplifting in their life, and I've been a part of that. I planted the seeds and helped develop that person, helped develop them. It wasn't me, but I helped develop them. And each one of you, just like the people in the chat room, we got Jay and Aaron, Seagoat and John and Fractal Truth, each one of them can also plant a seed of change, of growth, and they can also plant their own seeds. You can learn from yourself. You can plant your own seed of, hey, this is what I need to work on all my life. Let's water and allow that seed to grow, so then I can better develop myself as well, spiritually, physically, whatever it may be. Just continue to reach that level of limitless potential. Let's put it that way. Limitless potential. I don't like that word less. We could say little more potential. or a lot more potential within your life, right? It's just it's infinity, man. It's infinity. You know, you can learn for an infinity, man. I mean, that's where the soul matrix comes in, is because we learn from this creation here, and then we move on, attach back to the soul matrix, and then we go into another body, and we learn and grow and develop there. And it's by choice too. There's so many other elements as well. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's just discovering the best version of you. Don't limit yourself. That's a key word. Don't limit yourself. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and end on that. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. Make the change if you need to make the change in your life. Discover that path. And that is what I forgot. You need a foundation. Out of anything else you do, you're never going to better your life without some kind of foundation, some kind of platform to build yourself on. You know, Christ is my foundation. You know, that's my go-to place. You know, if I feel I'm not where I need to be, all right, have a good one, John. If I feel I'm not where I need to be, I go back to my foundation. I sit down and talk with that Christ energy and say, hey, you know, where do I need to go on my path? Where do I need to go? And that's what you need to find, that kind of foundation, whether it be angels, spirits, guides, ancestors, Christ, whatever it may be. You need to find a foundation first. Once you find a foundation, then you can build upon that foundation. And it just gives you that starting point. You have Christ as a good foundation. Christ is the best foundation that you will ever have, because it's built within us. You know, the energy is built within us already. You know, it's called Christ energy down here, you know, in this reality. And you just have to learn to look past the religion aspect of it, and that it is an actual energy source within you. You know, but find and discover that foundation, you know, and that will give you a starting point on how to better your life better. So yeah, so I can keep talking about that too, but that's what I forgot. So yeah, so anyway, so yeah, so love yourself, keep shining bright, try to find the best version of you, good foundation within your life, and life will begin to be good, where you can say daily, life is good, life is good, life is good, life is good. So yeah, so I'll talk to you all later. And thank you all for joining me in the chat. Definitely appreciate it very much.